So whenever I'm traveling, I like to say a prayer beforehand and say, Lord, if there's someone you want me to talk to about you today, have them sit next to me. Anytime I'm on a plane or a train or a bus and I know I'm going to be sitting beside a stranger for a while, that's the prayer that I make. And it's amazing how many times the Lord answers that prayer. A little while ago, I was flying somewhere and I actually messed up my ticket, and I went into the wrong row and sat in the wrong seat. And the stewardess came by and I explained, hey, I think I'm in the wrong seat. And she was like, you know what? The other guy's happy, you're happy. I just want to get this thing in the air. Let's go. I'm like, I like you. This is perfect. So she didn't kick me out of my seat. And the lady beside me saw that I was wearing a Roman collar. She saw that I was some kind of clergy. And so we started talking about faith. And she had been raised a Christian, but she no longer identified as Christian. In fact, she no longer believed in God. We had this whole conversation talking about how spirituality played a part in her life and all these different things. And at the end of the conversation, I said to her, I think God set up this conversation. And she said, well, I don't believe in God. I'm like, yeah, I know, I remember. But I still think God set it up. And she said, well, I don't think God set it up, but I do think that the universe set it up. I was like, oh, okay, tell me more. And she said, well, I think that the universe wanted us to talk together because the universe wanted me to have this conversation because the universe cares about me kind of reaching my peak. And I also think that the universe somehow got you to look at your ticket the wrong way. And I said to her, can I just point out one little thing? I was like, universes don't care about anyone. Universes can't set up conversations. Universes aren't pulling the strings behind the scenes. I said, people do that. People care. People set up conversations. People have this will to do things. And I said, even though you don't believe in God, your description of the universe is this personal being that cares for you. And I just want you to know that's what I'm talking about when I say God, this personal God who wants a relationship with you. And she said, I've never thought about it that way before. I never thought that I was ascribing personal attributes to a non-personal cosmos. And she said, I'm going to have to think about this a little bit more. Now, I mention this story because she was searching for God. She might not have used those exact words, but she was. And I, for my part, I was trying to share my faith with her, but ultimately, it was God himself who was setting up the conversation because he was searching for her. And I think that sometimes we can think that our search for faith is solely dependent on myself, on my own efforts, on what I'm doing to search for God. Maybe you recognize at some point in your life that you weren't satisfied with earthly things. Even though they were good, you realized, look, everyone around me seems to have this spiritual connection with God that I don't have. This is something that I can't relate to, and I need to figure it out. I need to figure out who God is and what my relationship is with him. I do a lot of funerals as a priest, and in moments of loss, I find that people often begin to realize that they have this need for God. Sometimes it takes a death in the family for them to start searching for this faith that they left behind years ago. Or also as a priest, sometimes people come up to me with all kinds of crises going on in their life. Maybe they've hit rock bottom with an addiction, or their family is falling apart, or they're losing their job. There's some sense that their security is gone, and so in desperation, they're reaching out to someone for help. And so they begin to search for God. But sometimes we're not searching for God ourselves, but rather we're looking out and we're seeing other people that we know need God. And in this case, it can become a stress or a pressure for us to have the right words, to have the right approach, to bring back family or friends who have wandered away from their faith or maybe never had faith to begin with. And throughout this, there's this common thread of us thinking that it all depends on what I do, right? Either I need to find God through my own research and prayer, or I'm convinced that it's completely up to me to bring people to Jesus who I so desperately want to know him. Well, what if we're missing a key component of how this whole search for faith is actually supposed to go? Because the disciples of John the Baptist that we heard about in our gospel today, they are actively searching for the Messiah. They are on the lookout, right? They're searching the scriptures. They're looking for clues. They're following John the Baptist. And John has said, I'm not the Messiah, but I am preparing the way for him. So they're thinking, okay, if we stay right here with John, we're going to see the Messiah eventually. And then John the Baptist, who is Jesus' cousin, he sees Jesus walking by. Jesus walks by, and he points out at Jesus, and he says, look, here is the Lamb of God. Like, it doesn't get much more obvious than that, right? John the Baptist is literally pointing him out to them. Look, here's the Messiah that you've been looking for. And the disciples are like, okay, we found him. Let's go. Let's go follow Jesus now. So they start following Jesus, and Jesus turns to them, and he asks this question, what are you looking for? Now, it might just be my read on this passage, but I think Jesus knows exactly what they're looking for. Okay, I think Jesus is actually playing dumb here. I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows who his cousin is. He knows that John the Baptist has gathered this group of followers that are looking for the Messiah. And Jesus just happens to stroll by. He knows that John the Baptist is going to point him out. He's scouting. He's searching for followers. And he's drawing it out of them. And finally, when they come to him, he's able to say to them, come and see. Inviting them into this relationship with him. Come and see where I live. Come and see where I stay. Come and follow me. Come and travel with me. Come and work with me. And so, yes, they were looking for the Messiah, and they found him. But the amazing thing is that the Messiah was searching for them too. And later on, one of them, Andrew, he goes to find his brother, Peter. And he says, we have found the Messiah. It's like, I found the Messiah. I was looking for him. I'm coming to tell you all about it. But his brother Simon, he's not looking. He's a fisherman. He's just doing his daily work. But Andrew knows if I can just get him to Jesus, he says to his brother, come and see that Jesus will be able to take care of everything. So Andrew ends up bringing Simon to Jesus, and Jesus looks at him and says, you are Simon, son of John. You are to be called Cephas. And Cephas means rock. It's the same, Peter means rock as well. They're two different languages to say the same thing, which is a really weird way to greet someone, if you think about it, right? Jesus meets Simon, he says, I know who you are. You are Simon, son of John, and you are going to be called the rock. Because Jesus isn't surprised to be meeting Simon. He's been searching for him too. He's been waiting for him to come because he's got big plans for him. Simon doesn't know what Jesus has in store, but Jesus does. Jesus knows this man is going to be the one who I'm going to choose to lead my church on earth. He's going to be the rock that I'm going to build my church on. This whole passage is describing different people finding Jesus. Some of them are searching on their own, some of them are invited, but all of them are learning that this journey of faith is not solely dependent on human effort, but it's also dependent on the fact that Jesus is searching for them at the same time. And this same Jesus is still searching for human hearts. He's still seeking out people that will come and see so that he can transform their lives. Now, we're just about to start our next Alpha course here at the parish. And I want to invite you to come and see what it's all about. Because there are many different ways for people to encounter Jesus. But one of the main ways that we help people meet Jesus here at the parish is through this Alpha course. And Alpha is just a chance for people to meet once a week for 10 weeks. They listen to a talk about faith, either live and in person or through a video. They have some food together, and they discuss the video with their small group. They talk about it with each other and try to answer those deep questions in life. And many people at our parish have taken Alpha as a way to go deeper in their relationship with Jesus. In fact, if you've taken Alpha, can I just get you to raise your hand and keep it up? Keep it up. Okay. If you haven't done Alpha, look around. See how many people here have done this. Okay? You can put your hands down. There's a reason that we promote it so much, because we know how helpful it is for people to meet Jesus through it. And I actually want to show you a video right now of a guy who took Alpha this fall so that you can see the great impact that it made on his life.
My name is Jack Fleming. I'm 22 years old from Clayton Park, Halifax. I started going to St. Benedict's when I was very young. Actually, when it opened in 2011, I came from St. Lawrence with my family. When I was younger, initially going to church, I strongly disliked it. I'd have to be, every morning, Sunday mornings, I'd sleep in, and I tried to make our family miss Mass. And I really just didn't want to be there the whole time. I don't have any memories of ever paying attention to anything that was really said. Pretty much after confirmation, our parents stopped dragging us and let us do whatever we kind of wanted to those Sundays mornings. So that consisted of playing hockey or hanging out with friends or just sleeping in initially. And it was almost a relief, because I remember being younger, and my friends and we'd have sleepovers, and I wouldn't be able to stay overnight Saturdays with them because Mom would make sure that I was home so I could go to church in the mornings. And then I always feel like I was missing out on something by going to church. I felt like it was taking away from my life. Once I got the opportunity to, or the freedom kind of to make my own decision and not have to go to church those Sunday mornings, I started to take that and do whatever I really wanted to those Sunday mornings, and just kind of left the church. So after being away from the church for quite a while and pursuing a finance degree at St. Francis Xavier University, I ended up having a very pivotal experience that directed me towards God and towards Jesus Christ. When I first came home from St. FX, I had this struggle of loneliness. And every weekend I spent it usually around my grandparents, down at their cottage, hanging out with them and family. And my grandmother pulled me aside and kind of noticed that I wasn't really doing so well. I wasn't really there as much as I usually am. I wasn't very enthusiastic about a lot of things that I'm usually enthusiastic about. And she kind of started to pull these things out of me, and I opened up to her for the first time in a very long time. And I said, yeah, like I'm really having a hard time. I'm feeling lonely. I'm having a hard time at work, and I need a community of faith to keep me raised up and to keep me moving forward confidently. She got me in contact with a lady named Tal, who connected me with a very good friend of mine now, Steve, who initially asked me to join him at Alpha. I felt excited when I heard about Alpha. I felt very enthusiastic about the idea of pursuing this. I was extremely thankful because I felt it was prayers being answered. Every Alpha night, you get 30 minutes with your small group, and that was the thing I looked forward to the most every week. I really enjoyed talking and sharing ideas with others, and just kind of not arguing, but deciphering ideas that we all had about the faith, and trying to figure out where we were all at and learning from each other. I felt that every small group I came out of it with so much more knowledge of whether it was prayer, relationship, or solitude. I just felt I was learning how to be a better follower, how to be better in my relationship with God. Since doing Alpha, I feel as if my relationship with Jesus has grown astronomically. I started to look for more ways that I could pursue that relationship. And that's when I found out about things like adoration, where I really got time to come to the parish, sit down and spend an hour and a half, maybe even 2, just in prayer, journaling, opening up, really trying to get to know him while also giving him the opportunity to get to know you. I would strongly encourage you to try Alpha. I think Alpha is exactly what people like me need. Just an opportunity to get away from the world and open up about everything that you've always wanted to open up about. Those conversations that you always thought you could have in your head. You get that hour and a half a week to spend time with people who want to listen to you and people that you can listen to about things that you never thought you could talk about. And that's why I encourage you to join Alpha.
Man, I love Jack. He's so great. And in many ways, like, I think all of us, we all know a Jack, right? Maybe you are a Jack. But Jack is like those first two guys from the gospel who were searching for Jesus. They were just waiting for someone to show them the way. And Jack's grandma and Tal and Steve, these people were like Andrew for him. They were people that already had met Jesus, already knew him, and were saying, come and see. Come and see. Let him transform your life like he's transformed mine. And of course, through it all, it's Jesus who is searching for the human heart. He was searching for Jack. He was hunting him down. He loved him. He had mercy on him and compassion on him. And this is the heart of God towards the whole world. And so what about you? What is Jesus inviting you to do? Maybe you've been wondering if there's more to life than this. Maybe you're thinking, I'm a lot like Jack. I find church boring too. I don't get it. I don't know why I'm here. To be honest, I'm tempted to leave sometimes and just go and do my own thing on Sundays. Why not try Alpha and take a leap of faith? Maybe what happened to Jack could happen to you. Registration is open now. You can register at the parish at stbenedict.ca/alpha. It starts January 24th, Wednesday night from 7 to 9 here at the church. Why not give it a try? Or maybe you know someone who is struggling with their faith, and you can be their Andrew. You can be the one that goes up to them. It's the exact same invite he said. Come and see. No pressure, no arguing, just an invitation. Come and see what Jesus can do for you. He wants to use you to reach people in our parish who aren't in our seats yet. He wants to use you to give you the courage to step out, invite someone to Alpha so that they can experience the Lord who has been searching for them.